This is Gerardo Del Real with Resource Stock Digest. Joining me today is team owner and quarterback of one of the better newsletters in the resource space. I'm talking with Mr. Joe Mazumdar from Exploration Insights. Joe, it's great to have you back on. It's been a bit. The world is topsy-turvy. How are you, sir?
Uh, Bit of a cold, but otherwise very good.
Well, I think if that's the worst that is going on with us right now, we're probably in pretty good shape. Listen, we have an interesting metals market. We have
Oh,
gold above, bless you, we have gold above 5,200. We have silver at the 87 level. We have copper, which recently made new highs. And the more I look around, and I like uranium as well, but the more I look around, I look at copper as one of the best supply demand fundamentals and structural fundamentals I've seen in quite some time. You've been around a bit longer than I have, and you're also an economic geologist. So, can you speak to what you're seeing in the copper market? I read your letter. I know that you're bullish on copper as well. I would love to hear your educated take on where we are in the copper space and in the copper bull market, and maybe some of the challenges we're facing.
yeah, I would say like a lot of it is about energy infrastructure and less so maybe EVs, but it's definitely about power infrastructure. A lot of people that made money off of AI are looking to say, well, a lot of this AI is going to need more power. Where do I invest it? Uranium, copper, or whatever. And so there's definitely a push. So the demand side is fine. The problem is the supply side, which is what's probably underpinning copper's moves. The supply disruptions are elevated. We saw that with, Cobre Panama. We've
Yep.
seen that with Chilean production, Teniente. We've seen that at Freeport again with Grasberg. So one is current production is not meeting expectations, and then future production as well is taking longer. Some of it's permitting, some of it's the fear of the high capital intensity that they need a higher copper price to basically justify the expenditure, and so people have been holding back on purchasing. So there's been M&A, but most of that M&A has been for production, not development, and not actually building new projects. So, we don't have any new copper. Like the consolidation helps the individual companies showing that they have more copper, but doesn't really change the copper scenario in terms of production. And so all of that, and then also falling grade. So we get less bang for our buck. Falling grade means bigger plants, means more power, means more water. Bigger footprint means harder to permit, means more capital to spend, and all that goes into people's reluctance to build some of these projects. So there's a lot going on in the copper market. One of the things that's not going on is building new projects. I know the Vicuña thing is being advanced between BHP and the Lundin Group.
Right.
But that's like a $7 billion project that'll probably go to 10. We've already seen that with Pascua-Lama. Says, let's see how that capital intensity goes. And as I look down at the projects, the development projects held by juniors, a lot of them, have their, issues, like we just saw with Pebble. That's a big project
Yeah.
in Alaska. That's been around for a while, but even
Decades.
but yeah, I mean, Resolution's been around for decades as well. But I
Yeah.
mean, that one has been problematic, just like Resolution for a long time. And so the benefits that the US administration have given a project like a company like Trilogy and South 32's Arctic deposit and the road has not, gone to Pebble.
Spilt over.
Yeah, it's and there's a lot of good reasons for that.
Yeah,
When you
sure.
have local opposition from various parts, not just one, not just an NGO, it's harder to get by that. I mean, regardless of who the federal government is. And so all of that is basically pushing production out in terms of new production. And if demand goes the way they're forecasting, then we're going to see growing deficits, and that's positive for the copper price.
What are you seeing in terms of quality and scale with new discoveries? Are there deposits that even if they're earlier stage, they might not be production ready or being built right now, but are there projects out there that have caught your attention enough to follow and keep up and allocate capital towards?
Yeah, I mean, 2 of my top picks are, copper development projects. Because in this environment, as you said about commodity markets, I've done very well on the development space, because people are looking for new projects, and then it's very important for management, like, you gotta really be key in on management and their ability to develop the project, because a lot of the projects that are being acquired recently, Foran was acquired by a gold company,
Yeah.
which opens up a new potential
Hmm.
suitors for these copper development projects, is that they tend to have, they have to get through a lot of the critical stages. So they're not gonna buy just somebody's resources.
Sure.
They want somebody that's got a feasibility study, so they've got reserves. They also want advanced permitting to the permitting already done. They might wanna see you get closer to commercial production.
Right.
They wanna see the capital behind you, and so that's about the timing for Foran. It's just getting into commercial production because they had a capital blowout, and then they had to raise another 300,000,000, and then Eldorado came, and so in terms of performance, Eldorado had outperformed Foran, and so in terms of, the acquisition, it made
Cost of
sense.
capital. Right. Yeah.
But I mean, does it make sense for somebody who's investing in Eldorado Gold to see that they're allocating capital to a base metal project?
Right.
Um, and they also have 2 other big projects, that they're developing in Greece. So they might be thinking geopolitically, "Okay, maybe I don't want overexposure to Greece, I'll go for Canada." So we could see that copper development projects that get advanced, can get taken out, and so it's very important to pick the right management teams that can advance the projects, through all the different phases, and so, one of my top picks has been a top pick for a while, has been Arizona Sonora,
Yep.
ASCU, on the TSX and ASCU-F on the OTC, and they're building, importantly, a cathode project. So they de-risk this thing, to make it from underground to open pit, uh, and, uh, and it's mostly private ground, so even though the federal government is more promoting mining and permitting through federal, um, they've basically gone private
Right.
specifically to avoid the issues that Hudbay had,
Sure.
building their copper wall project in Arizona, even though Arizona is the state for copper. The state's not the problem there, the federal government is, but
Right.
now the federal government is better. The other one in terms of an earlier stage would be Gladiator, which is in the Yukon, and the important thing about capital intensity, which applies to Arizona Sonora as well as to Gladiator, is infrastructure. So Arizona Sonora is right at Casa Grande. They've got
Yep.
road, they've got rail, they've got power, they've got water. So those are the sort of things that these copper projects need to lower the copper capex intensity. And Gladiator is close to Whitehorse. It was an old operating mine from open pit and underground. There is an old tailings facility that was rehabilitated. There's mining quarries right now by some of the First Nation companies there. So there is active mining going on. They're drilling, and so 2 of the key catalysts for me going forward are their ability, and I think, there's a high probability of it, of getting the First Nations impacts agreement coming up, and then the Class 3 permit that'll allow them to build more road, 15
Yeah.
kilometers of roads, get more drilling, uh, platforms out there. They're cashed up. I think they'll have about, over $20 million in cash at the end of 2025. So going into 2026, I think they have budgeted about $15 million. But if they continue to hit like they're doing, I could see them coming back to the markets and expanding that drill program. But we're still not at a resource, so we're much earlier stage than Arizona Sonora, but it's what we call a skarn deposit. We're talking 35 kilometers strike, of the potential, and they've basically gone to the old workings using geophysical techniques that hadn't been applied previously 3 decades before, and so they're using magnetics, they're using gravity, they're using electrical geophysics, and then
It seems
also,
like they're doing that really effectively too, right, Joe? I mean, it seems like once they really started getting that tiger by the tail, it's been pretty predictable and the hits have been spectacular and the scale of them has been impressive to me.
yeah, I mean, the thing is that the geophysics is working, because you got this, sometimes a low a couple of meters or so of overburden on top of it, so you can't do the trenches and that and rock sampling on top or soils. So yeah, I think the geophysics has been very good, and that's what they're spending a lot of money on. And they've had surveys that are more coarse, and so the idea is to go back and do finer surveys, and that'll give them the drill targets. But I think they've got enough drill targets, and then they've got a number of catalysts, not including the drilling, but also potentially a maiden resource in Cowley Park. And you can see a lot of these higher grade deposits aren't big tonnage.
Yeah.
Like Foran isn't a big tonnage deposit.
Sure.
But it was underground, and so that was the risk they took on the capital. Gladiator, a lot of it will be open pit. And so that's less risky, and you need less grade to make it work.
You're going to hate the question, but I know they don't have a resource yet. Can you speculate as to the potential, just given what you've seen thus far, given the scale and the quality of the intercepts? Can you ballpark a potential, back of the napkin, non 43101 compliant estimate there?
Yeah, the thing is that I think it'll be at least 25 million tons of 1% copper equivalent, and it could be up to 40 to 50. Depending what they take in. I think, there'll be a combination of indicated and inferred because there was some more drilling previously. What they want to do is make sure that they got a good handle on the high grade core of Cowley Park. And the thing is that if they keep hitting with the hopefully the class 3 permit, then the resource might be not in the not a future catalyst, because they might want to keep drilling it.
Correct.
Then the probability of getting the 50 million tons might be higher, and that might be what they want to get to. So I'm not going to say. I mean, I'll say the potential for a catalyst, but it's weird for me to say. But
it's
sometimes
almost better if they don't do the resource estimate, because that means they have the scale and the potential for a lot more.
Exactly. So this is definitely more of an exploration story than in Arizona, Sonora. But you got infrastructure, you got the right people, I followed this story for about 3 years. I've been up there 3 times. So yeah, it's another one that I like.
Good stuff. Joe, anything else before I let you go here? I know you're running under the weather. I want to thank you for your time.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. Anything to add? Anything else on your radar? Where can people find you?
explorationinsights.com. We're all heading to PDAC. I'll be heading there on Thursday. And then, we'll be there for another week or so.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your time. Get better. Safe travel, sir.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. Gerardo Del Real here. If you're enjoying the content that you just saw, you can let us know in 3 simple steps. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and please share across your network and on social media. Take care, everybody.